Hello everyone! Today I'm gonna be transferring some of my houseplants outside for the summer season, and I wanted to share with you a couple of thoughts on that topic and also a couple of tips on how to make that transfer successfully. Generally, you can transfer pretty much any houseplant outside for that spring and summer season, because we refer to them as house plants, but technically speaking they are all outdoor plants. In the nature they grow in tropical forests and stuff like that, so it's totally fine to bring pretty much any houseplant outside for that spring and summer season. But obviously there are a couple of things that you need to take in consideration, a couple of things you need to pay attention to make sure that those plants remain healthy and happy when you bring them outside. And one of those things is obviously temperature, because the majority of houseplants are either tropical plants or they just grow in warmer climates, so they will not tolerate cold temperatures. So you want to transfer your houseplants outside once the temperatures reach above 10 degrees Celsius. And you can do it either like you do with your seedlings, when you start to harden them off, you bring them outside for those warmer days and then you bring them in during those colder nights. But if that sounds like too much trouble, just wait for those temperatures to be consistently above 10 degrees Celsius, and then you can safely bring your houseplants outside and leave them there until the end of summer. And tip number 2 is it might be a good idea to transfer your houseplants into slightly larger containers before you actually transfer them outside. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Reason number 1 is if you're like me and you have pretty low light levels indoors, all of a sudden when I bring my houseplants outside, they receive pretty good light levels, and then the temperatures are warm, so these are the perfect conditions for those plants to start growing rapidly. So it might be a good idea to anticipate that and to transfer them into slightly larger containers. And the second reason is that the soil will dry out quicker once your houseplants are outside. So by transferring them to a slightly larger container, the larger the pot, the more soil it holds, and the more soil it holds, the more moisture it will hold. But in any case, even if your houseplants don't require repotting, if the pot seems large enough to accommodate for a new growth for the next couple of months, keep in mind that the soil will dry out quicker, so you will probably need to water your plants more frequently once they are outside versus when they were indoors. Okay, so if your plants are repotted and the weather is warm and you're ready to transfer them outside, where do you place them? So ideally you will place them in a spot that receives gentle morning sunlight, but where they are protected from that scorching hot afternoon sun. Because even if in the nature, those plants grow in full sun locations, keep in mind that up until now they grew indoors, perhaps without any direct sunlight at all, maybe just under grow lights, so they are not acclimated to be kicked out in the full sun location. So ideally just morning sunlight, but be careful here as well, because if indoors they were grown without direct sunlight at all, and then all of a sudden you bring them outside and they receive, let's say, 4 or 5 hours of morning sunlight, that morning sunlight, even though it's more gentle than the afternoon sun, it can be still scorching. So do it gradually, perhaps just expose them at first to a couple of hours of sunlight, and then slowly you can transfer them to a spot that does receive perhaps several hours of morning sunlight, but still keep them protected from that blazing hot afternoon sun, especially if you live in hot climates, because that afternoon sun will surely scorch your plant's leaves. And the last thing I wanted to say, if you're worried that by bringing your houseplants outside you're going to introduce them to more pests, or all of a sudden the pest will kill your houseplants, think about all of those times that you had pests on your houseplants when they were grown indoors. We all had aphids, spider mites, mealybugs, thrips and scale and all that, right? Those pests, they find their way to your plants even when you grow them indoors. But you shouldn't be worried that by bringing those houseplants outside the risk is increased. Quite the opposite, because the advantage that you have outdoors is that there are natural predators and all of those beneficial creatures that can actually help you deal with those pests. Oftentimes when I have some pest problem on my houseplants, I just kick them out outside, I leave them there for a couple of weeks, and usually the problem solves itself. Just recently I had aphids on my string of pearls. I just kicked it outside, and in my garden I have plenty of ladybirds, ladybugs, and they dealt with the problem for me, so I had to do absolutely nothing. So the risk is definitely not increased. If anything, you have less chances of having pests on those plants because the natural predators are active outside. Okay, so as a sum up, wait for the temperatures to reach above 10 degrees Celsius outside. Check if your plants need repotting, if they could use a larger container, and then keep in mind that they will need to be watered more frequently when they are grown outdoors. Place them in a spot that receives morning sunlight, but where they are protected from that hot afternoon sun. And one additional tip, don't just place your houseplants outside. Have fun with it and incorporate them into your outdoor plant displays.